That's a nice camera.
It is a very nice.
Well, I don't know.
What's up, Broncos? Welcome back to episode 2 of How to Build a Bronco. We have our two guests here, Mark Kline and Sean O'Hare. Messed that up.
He doesn't have first name. Don't worry.
Immediately missed.
I was not given a first name. I was not worthy. Oh no. I'm just O'Hare.
Well, welcome to the podcast. How'd you guys get here? Easily, like?
The map was a little confusing with a little flyover arrow, but I looked up your schedule and I figured it out. So,
Okay.
so it worked.
Yeah, Johnny. At this point, you're just gonna like record a video of you walking from the middle of the school, like in front of the gym, to this location.
That's what I was gonna do, but I don't have
Just
time
so,
to do
That would work.
this has happened twice now.
It's not that. You know what?
This has happened twice. I couldn't even find this radio.
We're going on.
And you're in the class.
Right.
All you got to do is tell them it's on the east side of the PAC building, and I'd have found that.
Well, that's because you're smart.
Oh, are you calling him? Are you calling him?
Wow. Here we
Okay,
go.
wait.
Here we
We're
go.
already insulting.
I have you in class.
We're
Just
already
remember that.
insulting Kline. Johnny, he's gonna give you an F, like F for life.
I haven't graded today's test yet, right? So-
Ooh.
Ouch.
Okay. Move.
Well, I
Next
think we
question.
don't have
First question. Go on.
All right. First question. What was your journey like from childhood to becoming a teacher here at Banning High?
Okay, so grew up in Indiana. Graduating from college, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I could have worked back east, or I could have come out here right after college. I had a connection up in Oak Glen to work outdoor school, so I moved out here. I was playing tennis tournaments and teaching science camp. And then that transitioned into substitute teaching in the area, and then I got long-term in San Jacinto, and then I took the job here at Banning. So I've been here at Banning for 26 years.
Dang.
So yeah.
Well, my journey was a little different. I've got a lot, so I'll just hit the highlights. Basically, I was born and raised in a little town outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, and lived there for about 25 years. Went to University of Cincinnati to be a geologist and got a job in the oil field in Louisiana. Lived there for about 8-9 years. During the economic crash in 2008, 2009, I got laid off, and my aunt and uncle lived out here in Redlands, and his health had been failing. She'd had leukemia since like the 80s. And they were getting on in years, so I came out here to kind of help them and go to nursing school at the same time. And then
I would not want you as a nurse.
well,
That's why he's not. That's why he's the teacher.
that wouldn't have been a problem because the nursing school labeled me a domestic terrorist and kicked me out. So
My point exactly, right?
What could you possibly have done?
So I decided to switch gears. Decided, hey, look, I always wanted to be a teacher, so why don't I go do that? Went to University of Redlands, got a master's in education. I interned for 2 years out at Upland High School, and then got the job here in Banning in, oh gosh, I can't remember. I've been here about 7 years, so whatever that adds up to be.
Dang.
Okay.
How would you say the students have been since you guys have gotten a job here?
Year by year, I've noticed that the students seem to be a little more distracted, especially since COVID. But the biggest struggle that I have with the students is skill-based, not really behaviorally. So I don't worry too much about the kids' behavior in my class because, I tend to try to relate as much as I can to the students, and I think that kind of gets away from a lot of the little niggly little problems that teachers can have in class.
And you're big. That kind of helps.
That and I weigh 3 times as much.
Can we put that on like a quote, like Mr. Kline, and you're big.
So for me, I would say again, the biggest change is probably COVID. That was really, really difficult situation, especially for us because we're science teachers, so we're doing labs and what are you doing when everybody's at home doing that? And so those students, I mean, you guys have both had my class. Physics is largely a math class, it's applied mathematics. And so I can almost tell you like what grade they were in by how their math skills are in physics when they had COVID, right? It's like, oh, okay, they're gonna be missing this year because that's the biggest indicator on how kids do in my class. I've had phenomenal students over the years. I'm really fortunate. I teach a bunch of APs, so I get the top kids every year. But even the top kids, like they struggle because they miss that year of being in front of the teacher getting their math instruction.
Yeah, I mean, now this year is the first year I've had students that don't know how to calculate a percentage, just a basic percentage.
Whoa.
So, having to teach how to do a percentage is a new thing for me this year. But like I said, it's because of the whole COVID issue and everything. It's all the problems we tend to have in class are skill-based rather than, because like physics, chemistry is heavily math-based. So it's difficult to be a behavior problem when you're scrambling trying to figure out the math.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But behavior-wise, I said I don't have a problem either. Kids are fine.
Yeah, I think I wanted to add on, like, COVID was, me as a student, COVID was like it really sucked because there was a lot of stuff I wanted to do, and there was a lot of stuff I was really getting into. Like, I was like really getting into learning. It was that big moment in my life where I was like, oh, I really want to learn this subject. And then COVID hit and slapped all those dreams down the water, because after COVID hit, it was like, I can't really learn much because no one prepared for any of this. It was it just so suddenly happened that I feel like a majority of kids kind of lost touch with learning. Because I remember when I was in like middle school, people were like actually paying attention, and nowadays it's like every other seat is someone on their phone. And I've fallen to that same distraction too, because COVID really messed up attention spans, because everyone was like, again, it happened so suddenly, no one like foresaw any of it. So
And you're doing a lot in music, right?
yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when you were in my class last year, you had a lot of stuff in your music classes, so that can't be fun when you're in COVID.
No, music sucked when I was in COVID, because we had to do the Google Music Maker. That was all we could do.
oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
it was awful, because like everyone had to create like a beat. That was amazing. that was certainly something to behold. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. You have anything to say about that?
I always hear the stories about COVID, but thankfully I was actually spared from all of that, because my mom,
Lucky.
I don't know how she knew, but she felt something was going to happen my 7th grade year, which is when COVID hit. She pulled me into homeschool. So I never experienced anything of any problems from the schools or whatnot. I just didn't end up getting the proper education until I caught back here in freshman year, which is why I'm doing credit recovery, and it's been pretty easy. And I always love hearing the stories about that, because I'm like, well, dang,
Yeah,
I
it's like an alien
somehow
world.
missed all of that.
Yeah, it's like an alien world. It's like, what happened to you guys?
I actually came here freshman year, like literally a week after they lifted the mask ban or thing. So that was crazy,
Yeah. I think I met.
Be glad you got spared all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
It was
I
bad,
met you
so.
around when you joined school.
Yeah,
But it was like a couple.
It was towards like the end of freshman year.
Yeah, it was like towards the end of freshman year I met you, and we've been friends for what, 4 years?
Already.
Yeah. Oh my god. I
No
feel
one-
so
Oh,
old.
God. The adults weren't lying when they said high school just goes by.
Right, like freshman year took so long to pass by, and then come sophomore year, and now I'm a senior. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
slept for 2 minutes. Please, spare me.
All right. So, how do you guys make the students understand easy enough the complex situations that you guys have to teach?
Oh, well, I get to answer that one? I was hoping you'd come up with something so I could make something up, right?
Well, if you want me to go first, I'll go first.
No,
but I thought
it's,
I would be polite for a
no,
change.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Don't want to step on your delicate feelings, right? So.
I was the person who wanted you both.
Just as long as you don't step on my delicate pen, we'll be all right.
I'm the person who wanted you both on this podcast at the same time as a group, and I do not regret my decision.
Yeah, well, trust me, we do this constantly, right?
You should see our staff meetings.
Yes. And unfortunately, I'm running it, and he's cracking jokes, right?
All right,
So,
back to the question.
I won't lie to people. Especially AP Physics, my class is hard. I mean, it is hard. Like I always tell, like I was in there, I was talking to your students the other day, I was recruiting kids, and they're like, do you give a lot of homework? I'm like, no, I might give you one problem. Of course, that problem's gonna take you half an hour and like 2 pages, you know? But yeah, I just think as a teacher, you gotta have a good enough grasp of it that when students are asking you questions, you can just off the top of your head kind of crank it out. So I was helping my daughter the other day. She's an adjunct professor at a university back east. And I'm like, hey, stay a couple pages ahead of the kids, right? Doesn't mean you have to know absolutely everything, but you got to know it well enough that you can sit there and explain it to the students. So a lot of times I'll have the students come up and work through the problems, and then I'll think, okay, well, let's try this way or different things. But you got to be in there in the trenches with them working through the problems. Because if I just, again, both of you guys have had my class. If I'm like, hey, do these 10 problems on your own, come back tomorrow, it's like you're not going to have anything. You gotta have help going through that stuff, which is fine, but that does take some extra work to get to that point.
Yeah.
So
One of the skills that I've always seemed to have, just I don't know where I picked it up or if I picked it up or if it's innate. I tend to be really good at relating metaphors for complex ideas into a way that you can understand.
I don't understand you.
For example,
Well, you've already failed.
right now in my general chem class, we're doing stoichiometry, which is one of the hardest things that we do in chemistry. And
Okay, so don't let the chem teacher
that's all
say
it is,
it's
honestly.
stoichiometry, right? It's unit conversion, guys. Come on, we did this in class.
I even
right?
tell them in the notes it's a $20 word for a multiple rate.
And I love it because then he gets in meetings and goes, well, we're covering stoichiometry right now. And I'm like, dude, you're converting units. Come on.
You know what I like about this?
But-
you guys switched your feet positions at the exact same time, and then the whole time me and Mr. O'Hare were our feet were spread out, both of you were laid back, and then immediately you both switched at the same time. Like, whoa.
Separated at birth, maybe. Maybe that's the problem.
Long lost twins.
But no, I mean it's a really easy concept. It just has a lot of like sciencey words behind it. So I throw out all the sciencey words and I just relate it in a way instead of talking about magnesium carbonate and sodium sulfide and all
Here
this
he
kind of
goes,
stuff.
throwing
I
around
talk
terms.
about I talk about putting wheels on a bicycle. And I say, okay, every bicycle's got 2 wheels on it and 1 frame. So what if I give you 50 wheels and 20 frames? How many bicycles can you make? It just, I find analogies that are really useful, everyday analogies that the students can relate to. And then I say, okay, let's put the science back into it and then go. And it tends to help them to realize, hey, this stuff isn't as scary as it sounds. Like he's saying, he's like, oh, stoichiometry.
Here we go.
Yeah, it is. In the end, it is just unit conversion. But, if I just stand up in front of the class and go, oh, don't worry, it's just unit conversion, that doesn't help.
Yeah, and those metaphors definitely make it memorable to certain students too. Because as you were talking about that, I literally started to remember back when I was in your class, like, oh my gosh, I remember.
Literally,
Remember the in and out double
the
double
moment you
and,
started explaining the
you know.
bicycles, I had like a Jimmy Neutron brain blast. I'm like, oh, it's coming back to me. I know what to do now.
Remember the slide with the big in and out double double on it and all that?
I do think Jimmy Neutron brain blast is the perfect way I can describe that feeling, because it all just kind of like hit me in a flashback. It was just like, boom. Yeah, but I do agree with you. It makes it really easy because when you explain like, oh, sodium fulcite or something like that, it's like when you put it like that, I'm gonna say, what the hell are you talking about? there's no like, I don't know any of these terms.
Kids very easily get lost in the terminology.
Yeah.
So I like to use things that they're already familiar with and relate it in a chemistry way.
Yeah.
That way they can see the chemistry before I start putting all the verbiage into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can.
You know, like I said, it's a skill that I had even when I was in the oil field. I was a teacher of sorts because I was a field trainer for the field engineers. And, you know, I would use the same techniques to help them understand, you know, hey, you need to do this with the computer, you need to get this report in at this time, you know, because I could just relate to the people a hard concept in a very easy way to understand.
I can agree that is very effective. It is a very effective way of teaching.
All right, so now we got past those questions. We got some fun questions.
Oh, I thought these were the fun questions, right?
Well, that's because you two were bickering up there.
Yeah.
We're an old married couple.
Yeah.
I guess you could say the chemistry is really good.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God. All right.
I'm sorry.
He just takes things too seriously.
I could tell.
All right. If you could teach a different subject for a day, what would it be and why?
If I could teach a different subject, well, does it have to be offered here at the school?
No, just any subject.
Any subject.
Oh, any subject.
Any
Okay.
subject.
No, then I would like to teach cosmology because I love. It's one of my hobbies.
I don't think you're supposed to go into your personal life too much on this, right?
Not cosmetology.
Oh my bad.
Whoa! Mr. Kline has been on the offensive all podcast. That was. We have offense and defense right here, and it makes sense too. And it makes sense with the way you two are built. Offense and defense. This is
So, no, I love reading all of the recent advancements in cosmology and understanding the universe and how things interact, how they work. So I would love to teach a class on cosmology.
I would pay for a Mr. O'Hare cosmology class. That sounds awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
Learn about space with Mr. O'Hare. That should be it. That should be its own series.
I remember being some days where we just wouldn't do anything, and all the kids would ask you certain questions about, like, how does this planet move, or how does the sun do this? And that you give perfect metaphors for it.
You know what's funny? Physics explains a lot of that.
It does.
It does.
So basically, you want to come in and teach my class?
No.
I do not want to teach chem. So
I don't
no
want
way, right?
I don't want all them catapults arranged around my room, messing everything up. I got enough stuff. Thank you.
The amount of jokes that would have came from you teaching chemistry with the catapult would have been funny.
Yeah, that's not good.
All right. What about you, Mr.
Again, as long as it doesn't have to be a class here.
No, it can be anything you can teach.
I would love to do like an intercession class. Like a lot of schools get like my daughter's doing that at university right now. She's doing a month-long class. Okay, and kids show up every day and do that, and they get whatever credits for it and stuff. I would love to do an intercession class on Greek civilization, because of all things, I have a minor in Greek civilization, which I don't get to really use. But that would be really cool because
There's a
you
lot
can
of
go
Greek
through
in chemistry.
Yeah. So you'd go through. There's philosophy. There's a lot of literature that we could do. There's architecture. There's theater. There's all kinds of things. So I think that would be a really, really cool class to just like, again, if it's a short thing where you could just go and highlight those main things, because that's really kind of the foundation of Western civilization, is these things that come out from ancient Greece. So I would love that. That would be great for me. Students would probably hate it, but
Yeah.
it would be fun for me at least.
I called this perfectly. Before we started the podcast, I told Johnny, with this question, I can guarantee you I know the answer. Mr. O'Hare is going to say something about physics or space. and Mr. Kline is gonna say something about history.
I don't know how he did it.
I'm not even joking. That was the
We do have other interests, you know, right? We
Okay,
don't-
listen. Okay, but I don't know why I had a feeling you would teach history because you love going off on rants about like a certain subject, right? And history professors.
Rants?
Was that a dig? I think
I believe
that
it
was
was.
a dig
It's not
right
a dig.
there.
No,
I believe it was.
No, this is not a dig. And I knew you were going to say something about space. I have no idea why. That was just a feeling.
Because all of my interests, I mean, everything I read, every nonfiction I read is space, chemistry, physics, or quantum physics. So, you know,
Yeah.
those are my hobbies.
He's always talking to me about, well, you know, the third body
man.
problem, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, God. Yeah, so.
Feels like a Family Guy episode.
Well, the point of the podcast is to humanize you guys to the students. So, what other hobbies or fun stuff do you do outside of school?
This was
Fun stuff I like to do. I go off-roading in my truck, usually in the hills around here, in the BLM lands around here. I like burying the bodies of my enemies in the hills around here. And planning the compound that he seems to think that I'm going to live in at some point in my life.
Hey, you said you're on the terror watch list, right? You know, I don't know.
No, I enjoy off-roading. I enjoy kayaking. My wife and I like to go camping. We spend a lot of time over at Lake Paris for those two reasons. And I love traveling, but I love vacationing, but I'm not a big fan of traveling. Let me put it that
I
way.
agree with that so much.
Like, my parents live in Florida. I would totally drive there with no sleep, straight. Arrive there, sleep for an entire day, and then have a great week.
Yeah.
And then drive back in one shot because I can't stand, you know, drawing out a drive across country across 4 or 5 days. I'd just do it in one shot with a bunch of Red Bull.
I agree with that. That's why I cannot imagine flying. I think flying would be like torturous for me because I'm very,
Just bring a good book,
Yep.
yeah, okay, that's fair, but
like
I don't
chemistry,
have-
for example.
If you want to sleep.
oh, wow. All right, so
For me, just in the last, what's it been, since last fall, I was positioned, I was able to buy a race car. Grew up in Indianapolis. Like, literally, they would park cars for the Indy 500 at my high school. So Mario Andretti, who was big time U.S. Racer, his twin brother lived in the neighborhood next to me growing up, and his son would come in where I worked over the summers and all kind of stuff. So I've been around it, helping out friends and doing everything. So just in this last year or so, I was able to buy a race car. So I have a Mazda RX-7. It's really just an angry Miata, right? It's really loud but not very fast. But so that's something that I get to do with my son and my nephew and working on putting together a race team. So we had it out right before Christmas break, had it out running, and then right now I got to pull the engine and do a bunch of stuff like that. But, you know, it gives me something mechanical that I can work on away from school, you know, and keep my interest going. So
That's the one with the Wankel rotary. in it,
yes, absolutely. Has a rotary engine that nobody can work on, and it's very expensive, and you can't get parts, and
Burns
yeah,
oil.
Yeah, great idea on my part, but
I connected Kline to history. I did not connect you to race cars. Wow.
yeah,
That's very good knowledge, actually.
it's a lot of fun. you
See, the
know?
podcast is already working. Yeah.
I told you.
There you go.
You didn't tell me anything.
I told you a lot of things
I made the list.
that I had originally.
That you didn't. I
Yeah, we
asked
invited
you.
See, our bickering has now.
Right.
Oh, no, no, no,
trust
no, no,
me,
no.
I've had them together in class.
That's what I'm saying. There is exact copies across the board now. You and me and you and him are the exact same. We keep bickering about random things.
Just wait 30 years, you'll be on this side, right?
Yeah,
Can't
exactly.
wait.
All right. What's the weirdest question students asked you before?
Uh-oh.
Are we gonna fight?
Yes.
That's usually the best
I don't,
question
know
we
about,
get, right?
I don't know about weirdest, but that's probably the most often I get asked is, who would win in a fight? Me versus whomever.
Kline.
And it's usually Kline or before Principal Paz came, it was me and Valdivia. And they even created a.
They got to give me better odds than Valdivia. Come on. Right?
Well, they created.
I mean, you're several weight classes above me, but come on, I'm still got to be tougher than Valdivia, right?
Several.
Can I pose a question real quick?
Of course.
Who would win in a fight, you or Mr. Kline?
Well, I mean, I'd just sit on him and he wouldn't be able to move. So,
See, it's the whole MMA boxer versus wrestler thing, right? If I can stick and move, I'm okay. But if I get within arm's length, I'm in trouble.
If I can get
right?
inside, then it's done.
Yep.
Oh, I got everything I wanted from that question and more. I got everything. All right.
But see, I can't really say, either one of us has the reach because we both have about the same length of arms. But, I have a little more fight training in my background, but at the same time, I'm fatter and slower. So.
Are we about a boss right now? Is there going to be a boss in that podcast?
We're like, okay, move these chairs out here.
I was going off the rails. We got to come back to reality.
Weirdest question students ask. I think the weirdest question I've ever been asked actually happened today. I was in a biology class, and I was telling the biology students about the various kinds of chemistry we have so they'd know what to sign up for next year. And a student interrupted and said, because I was saying, if you're planning on going to college, for certain things you might want to take honors, or if you're going into these degrees, you'll want to take AP. And a student asked me this question. He says, when they get to college and they get into the dorm, do they get Paramount Plus with a student discount?
So you're the cable guy? What are we?
And I was just like,
to whoever said that.
What?
To whoever said that, I commend you for your bravery. That was brave.
And all the students in the class just kind of went and looked at me.
I commend.
What
that
does this
person.
have to do with signing up for chemistry?
I commend that person for their bravery.
That was probably the weirdest question I've ever been asked.
I think that's the weirdest question I've heard. Like, not like a weird as in like it's like icky weird, but that was weird as in like why?
Just left field.
Yeah.
Did it sound like he was serious, or was
Yeah,
he
he was
joking?
dead serious.
What?
He really wants Paramount Plus. I mean,
It was a freshman.
Well,
But,
priorities.
yeah,
yeah,
it was
biology's a
freshman.
freshman class.
The question I get asked most often that might be considered weird is, do I know how to make meth? And it's like,
Do you?
yes, of course I do. I'm a chemistry teacher. It's not that hard.
The
And then
record show. Let the record show.
The next question is, will you teach us? And it's like, no.
You want to do a meth cooking episode?
No. Yes, I know how to make meth. No, I'm not going to teach you. Yes,
Cooking
I know how to
with
make
Mr. O'Hare.
explosives. No, I'm not going to teach
Cooking
you.
with Mr. O'Hare. Today's dish, crystal meth.
Well, my son used to call me Walter. So
Oh my God.
There you go.
See, I think Breaking Bad definitely made chemistry interesting to go in. People watch
put it on the map, so to speak. If not in the best light, it at least got people aware.
Yeah, so
of
about
it.
that compound, Clinus. About that compound, hold on.
By the
Any
way, that
other
bag's not
questions?
sticking out of my pocket, is it? No.
Yeah, well, what's the weirdest question you've been asked?
Oh my gosh. It's not really a question, and I hate to throw this kid under the bus, but I'm going to do it.
This is going on YouTube. by
So-
the way.
This is going on
So
YouTube.
what-
This is public.
Okay, well maybe he'll realize his mistake. So we were talking in physics about gravity, right?
Okay.
And how powerful the gravity of the sun is, right? And so we were talking, I think the escape speed from the surface of the sun would be like 620 kilometers per second. I mean, it's all this insane stuff. And I'm like, so not only do you have this huge amount of gravity and huge amount of thermal energy, that's why you can't you can't fly near the sun, do anything near the sun. And so I had a student in the class go, well, that's why you fly to the sun at night.
I
And I was like, no, you're
Okay,
funny, right?
now-
And he's like,
now-
no, you just fly to the sun at night. And I'm
now I
like,
have to-
you do realize, right? That it's not like a light switch and you flip off the sun at night and it turns out.
Now,
when
I have to ask.
Don't you hate when you go to bed and they forget to turn the sun off?
you know, it's like I can't go to sleep because they forgot to turn the sun off at night.
I gotta put a shirt wrapped around my eye.
Now, I have to ask.
And the worst thing, and he argued with me for like 5 minutes.
Were they serious?
Yes, they were absolutely serious. They were not trying to be funny, anything like that. I'm like, so now I think it's on my final, right? They've been immortalized. Problems with flying to the sun, huge amount of gravity, thermal energy, and it's like no problem, just fly to the sun at night.
You know what
so.
really sucks? I think me like 5-6 years ago would have asked that exact same question.
It's kind of like you would want to go to Venus on a day when it's not cloudy,
Right.
Go to Venus.
They
when
don't.
the
They
weather's
don't
fine.
know that, but I think we at least should know that the sun doesn't. just,
Guys, we should go to
flip a
Mars. We
switch.
should go to Mars when they have good weather.
yeah. So that's like I said. Maybe not a question, but
There's
statements that I get.
If you guys could make a currency, what would it be called?
I'm sorry.
If you could make a new currency.
Mr.
What
Klein.
would
Oh,
it be called?
currency. Good lord, I thought you said a
That's the
curry.
inside joke.
All right, let's start with Klein then.
So there is this big push right now since they do Sandoval dollars,
What?
and he has this whole token economy that he's got set up, and they do small jobs, they get small rewards, and they ask questions, and they can convert them to extra credit, everything. Now my class is pushing for Kline Cash, right?
Did you push for Klein Cash?
They're
I was there, and I
Did you
will
push
say
for
I
Klein
supported
Cash?
I didn't
Yeah,
expect
Klein Cash. Is that going to be
Oh,
a new
my
cryptocurrency,
goodness.
Klein Coin?
I've had students that have volunteered to make them and with a little stripe in them so you can't counterfeit them, and like it's this total monster of an idea, and I blame Sandoval for doing this. He's not here to defend himself, but he wouldn't say anything anyway because
No,
he's
he
so
wouldn't.
nice. But yeah, trust me, hopefully Kline Cash died.
All right, now you. What currency?
Currency. I don't know. I've never actually thought of trying to make a new currency.
Who has?
It would
I have the last week or so.
it would probably be something along the lines of like a Bitcoin or something like that.
What would you name
Probably Thanos
Wow.
because
That's a creative thing.
I've got I've got all this O'Hara's Thanos stuff going on, so
You'd use the picture you have hang up in your room.
Thanos coin, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
That one that Mr. Jonathan Velasco colored for me, that I use as my Google.
Yeah.
I think I would ironically buy Thanos coin. It would be really funny.
There you go.
Like it's a waste of my financials, but like you can't stop me. A Thanos coin and Klein. What was it?
Kline Cash.
Klein Cash. Klein Cash Thanos coin. I would unironically pay into these.
Sky, how far in?
35 minutes.
Ooh, dang, already? What time is it?
It's 3 times.
It's currently 15:11.
Would you have time to do a quick round of Would You Rather?
Sure, if you wish.
All right.
It's their prep period. Why wouldn't they have time? Our concern is this guy.
Okay.
Unless you guys have to do something.
Nobody's concerned about him. He's behind the TV.
Yeah, screw you. No offense, guy. No, you're good.
There's a huge difference. Mondrak in praising the person behind the camera. You insulted him.
Well, that's because I was behind the camera.
Okay. Would you rather teach Would you rather teach a class where everyone gets an A, or everyone's graded solely on creativity?
Creativity.
Absolutely creativity. There's no way I'm giving everybody an A. Sorry.
All right.
If you give everybody a grade, then the grades are meaningless. So
Called it. I called it.
Everybody gets a trophy, right?
I called it.
Would you rather spend a day as a high school student again, or spend a week as a principal?
weak as a principal. I hated high school.
I loved high school.
You would.
So maybe that. Hey, that's why I'm your department chair. Right?
yeah, I'm just the minion.
I wouldn't want to be the principal. I've always said, let me be dean of students. I think, yeah, you guys are like, oh, see, look at them both squirm, right? I'd be like, you'd be getting to class on time, right? I'd be up there with a ball machine, you know. So,
No, you'd be catapulting them. You know.
Get to class.
so no, I'd probably rather go back to high school. That'd be
I
fun.
bet that 1.1 kilograms will go more than 10 meters.
Exactly.
Why don't we design a catapult around your body weight?
Well, so instead of going to high school back when you were in high school, would you rather be a high school student in this school, like now?
No, I think I'd still rather do principal.
Moving on.
And I said, I wouldn't mind being a high school student here. I think, okay, so let's be serious for 1 minute. I think one of the really nice things about our job is that we get to work with the high school students. So I'm around 16, 17, 18-year-olds all day. So I think it keeps you kind of tied in and doing stuff like that. You know, it's not like if I worked a normal job and I was near the end of my career or whatever. I mean, that seems kind of tragic and depressing, right? But working with the high school kids, I think that's kind of energizing, doing that every day. So
Yeah, definitely. Having to keep up and especially keeping up with the new language. That's always fun. When I hear new words and I'm like, oh, let's figure out what that one is. You know, but no, I think, I mean, I wouldn't mind being a student now at this school, but I think at this stage of my life, I think I'd rather just be principal.
What will be your first action as principal?
Yeah.
My first action, reinstating penalties for tardy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was going to be something really goofy, but that was good. Good answer.
No, it honestly is because I've got a stack. I actually use them as scratch paper. When kids come late, they have to go to the attendance office and get a tardy slip, and I've got a stack of them that thick on my desk, and that's about 3/4 of the ones that I've gotten so far this year.
I was saying this morning.
Yeah. This morning, how many kids are in your first period?
I generally every day in first period have at least 5 or 6 students come 10 minutes or later after the bell. So my first action as principal would be reinstate discipline action for tardiness, and just tell teachers, hey, when the bell rings, shut and lock your door. Students late, send them over here.
I love this next question.
It was insane when I figured out, oh, we don't have tardies anymore. We could just walk into the class now. I was like, okay.
I'm gonna take full advantage of this one.
Yep.
Oh no, you'll still be punished in my class.
Oh, I see. All right. Would you rather sing every answer to a question a student asks, or dance every time you write on the board?
I think I'm singing out my answers. You don't want me to dance. I haven't danced since I got married, so.
Oh no.
You know.
I'm too white to dance.
I feel you on that
I'm
one.
horrible at singing, but at least I have more practice at that.
I
That's
feel you on
kind
that
of
one.
a loaded question, right? You're
Yeah.
like not really giving us an option here. Right?
It's like, would you rather be burned alive or eaten alive? It's like, well, I'm dead either way.
Let's
so.
see which
That's a good question, actually.
is less painful, right?
Okay.
Singing would probably be less painful for me.
All right.
I'll probably throw something out trying to dance.
Okay, final question of the podcast. What do you think it means to build a Bronco?
It's the sigh after every question.
To me, I don't know that I would have like a full definition for that, but I can tell you how I attempt that on a daily basis in my class. I try to instill in students a desire to learn more than they're being shown, and to be a respectful, responsible member of society at the same time. And I think that, I mean, when we were coming down here to do the podcast today, it was the first time I'd heard, to build a Bronco. But when I hear that, I think of molding and forming students into not just functional members of society, but successful people that always want more for themselves and out of themselves than they are currently giving. And that's what I try to instill in my class.
I like that.
That's a good answer.
Beat that. All right, so, and again, I kind of know the answer to this because I get asked this a lot, and you know, with background in physics and different things I'm involved with, I could have gone into engineering. I could have gone into other areas. Lots of my friends from school are engineers and doing different things like that. But I've always felt that, you know, if I'm working for General Motors and they sell a few more cars because of a gear that I put in a transmission, who cares? Right? I mean, what am I doing? Okay, yeah, I'm providing for my own family, but you know, I decided a long time ago I would rather use my talents and abilities to further the lives of my students. So what's important to me is that I'm giving them the skills. I'm giving them those habits of mind, right? I'm affecting their attitude. I'm affecting their effort level, right? I'm giving them what they need to progress forward. So hopefully by coming through my class or my athletic programs or things like that, it's a stepping stone onto them moving forward in their lives and being able to accomplish. So nothing brings me more joy than having students come back and talk about what they're doing. And again, I'm very fortunate I get to deal with the top students in the school, you know, with AP Physics. But I've always felt like that is a much more worthy calling for me than to be in the corporate world or something like that. I'd rather be putting my time and effort towards furthering my students' lives.
All right. I
It's-
like both of those answers.
It's kind of like why I wanted to be a teacher in the first place, because to me, teachers kind of get a bad rap because, you know, there's that old cliche of, you know, those who can do, those who can't teach. And I've never found that to be true because there are a lot of people that can do but cannot teach it. And I think it takes a special kind of person to actually teach, especially in an environment where the people being taught aren't really necessarily interested in what's being presented, you know. And like he said, you know, habits of mind, you know, attitudes and behaviors. I think it's a more noble profession, like he said, to bring students up into the world rather than try to just simply grind away in a corporate cubicle somewhere, you know. Like he said, yeah, you may improve a car, they may sell a few more cars, you make the company a few more $1 million a year. Woohoo. You know, my product is not dollars, my product is not cars, my product is minds. And to me, that's a more noble cause than anything.
You're building Broncos.
Yes, I am building Broncos.
Well,
I have the
Those
horse
are-
head in my trunk right now.
those were very, very good questions. Those were very good answers.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was hoping to get when
All
I
right,
thought
well-
of this.
Awesome.
All right, well, we have 5 minutes before the bell rings.
Okay.
So,
That was the end of episode 2, everyone, and thank you guys for both being on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
you guys were an
Anytime.
absolute pleasure to talk to.
Yes.
that was an absolute.
Anytime you wish, just don't ask me to dance.
All right, well, hope you have a good day, Broncos. See ya.
All right.
That was an amazing.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you.